Hello, everyone. Welcome to Knights of the Geek Republic podcast. A very different look for you on this fine Christmas evening. I'm the Great Talon.
Hi, everyone. I'm John J. Revan.
All right, we're showing you our faces for the first time. Hopefully, this will be the first of many times you get to see our ugly mugs. So, we hope you're all doing good out there.
Yeah, put a face to the voice, you know.
Right, yeah, definitely. And we're going to do different things. We're going to put this on YouTube, on our channel, as well as do the podcast. So all the podcasts, all the stations out there. So we hope, whether you're a YouTuber or a podcaster, you'll be able to enjoy our work, on any platform you choose. So
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. I just want to wish you and your family Merry Christmas, first and foremost.
Yeah, well, you too, man. Merry Christmas. Hope Santa was good to everybody, in the house.
Santa was good, man. I got a shitload of clothes this Christmas, but you know what, man? We're at that stage in life, man, where it's like, I don't even, during the year, I don't even go clothes shopping because I'm just anticipating for the Christmas.
Just wait for that Christmas. Dude, Christmas, that's me. I got a bunch of thermal socks. My mother bought me an electric blanket, which I have sitting on the couch. And I don't know if you've ever had an electric blanket, but oh my God, it's amazing.
Sounds amazing,
especially on cold winter nights. Before we started, I was wrapped up playing Halo, and I'm like, oh, this feels amazing.
You're at that next stage of life when you're getting socks. You're just like, oh, yes, I got some socks.
Dude. I'm wearing that shit right now. The thermals, man, they feel nice and toasty, and especially this time of year, it's very fun to get that shit.
In our younger years, it was like clothes. Nah, don't get me that. You gotta.
I wanted that new Sega game, Ma.
Yeah, what are you doing? Giving me a sweater?
I remember one time, dude. I was 7 years old, and I was a little brat, dude. I was a spoiled brat. My mother got me some clothing, like you said, on Christmas morning instead of the Sonic the Hedgehog game I wanted. Now it's I threw a fit. I'm like, I don't want this. I want my Sonic game. She's like, but they were sold out. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Those were the old days, yeah.
Yeah, no. So the bulk of this podcast, folks, is going to be centering around the Matrix. We're going to break it down like we did Spider-Man: No Way Home. But first and foremost, before we do that, we'll talk about a couple of other things. So I watched today with my mother on Christmas Day. We watched that Lucy and Ricky, I Love Lucy movie called Being the Ricardos, and I think you've seen that previously, right, Jay?
Yeah, I did not wait. I know it came out on the Amazon Prime stream just a few days ago, and I ended up seeing it when it was in the movie theaters before it released on the stream. I saw it with my fiance. We were just looking for a date night, so I was like, all right, let's just go see Being the Ricardos, and I liked it, man. I got to be honest with you. I'm a little biased. I grew up as a kid. I was a fucking huge I Love Lucy fan.
I was too.
I was a huge I Love Lucy fan, so I'm a little biased. If you never watch I Love Lucy, you're not gonna probably like the movie.
Yeah.
But if you grew up as a big I Love Lucy fan like ourselves, there's something to enjoy about the movie. You kind of learn a little bit about Lucille Ball, her character, how she was this bossy lady. She was very detail orientated on her work.
She was a straight up bitch, folks. There's no sugarcoating that.
There's no sugarcoating it, but she did have some. As much as she was a bitch, she was very. What's the word I want to say? There was some sort of grace to her too. At the same time,
yeah, she was headstrong. The thing was, folks, she knew what she wanted. She knew how to get there. She wanted to keep things as they were. She wanted to keep her position. She worked fucking super hard to get there, and she was a perfectionist.
She was a super perfectionist. Yep.
And any little thing that was wrong, she had to tweak and make it better. Even it pissed off everybody around her, but she had to have it just right.
Yeah, so, she was a major perfectionist, but yeah, it was cool. It was cool seeing that inside. I never knew how much of a creative person Desi Arnaz was, how much he was involved in the show. He was basically all the jokes that you see in the show. It almost came from him. Pretty much.
No, he did a lot of stuff. He produced the show. He did a lot of writing parts of the show. Yeah, all that, the musical sections, all him.
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff, and it was what's good about this movie. Even though at the end it portrays him as an asshole, what he did at the end, but what the movie did do was kind of give him back some credit. I feel like when you see the title I Love Lucy, you think it's all about Lucy. But when you watch this movie, you see man, Desi Arnaz was a big part of that whole creative process.
And then they broke it down, that one scene where he's like, the producer was like, talking to Desi Arnaz, he's like, I love Lucy, you are the I and I love Lucy, like you're the one who loves her. It's like a play on that. And he kind of took it as patronizing him, but I kind of understood what he meant by that. I'm like, yeah, and then he's like, you are like the top billing, like you are producing this, you're getting top tier. And because I think Lucille Ball wanted that, because she felt like Desi Arnaz was being like dwarfed by her success. Because you remember that part in the club, man, when they went to his club where he was playing, he was doing his orchestra shit, and like Club Babalu or whatever, like she was like, she visited him, and they were all swarming her, like autographs and everything, and he felt a little bit like dwarfed by her presence. So she felt like, oh, he's being threatened by me a little bit. So maybe that's why he was a little bit of an asshole a little bit, like toward the end of the movie. I mean, not saying I'm condoning his actions, but it's maybe that's what pushed him over the edge.
Yeah, I believe so, man. I believe, he kind of needed that little R&R in the sense. But, I mean, aside from that, though, I got to say, man, J.K. Simmons, dude, as Fred Mertz, I mean, I tell you, man, he, like, I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, God damn, he sounds like Fred Mertz. Like, he embodies Fred Mertz to the T. Like it was almost like a split image of Fred Mertz in a way.
Yeah, it was
the way he spoke and everything.
1 for 1, dude. 1 for 1. Like, and the same thing right down to his drinking habits and everything. The way him and Vivian Vance, like Ethel, they hated each other, and that was a fact. They never liked each other at all. They hated each other, despised each other. And it was very cool.
It was interesting seeing those things, like because these are things you don't know. Like I didn't know Bill Frawley was played by J.K. Simmons. I didn't know in real life, like that character, Bill Frawley, was a mentor to Lucille Ball. I found that to be very interesting.
That was cool. That's why she looked at him as like a father figure almost. Like, like you're teaching and teacher and a father figure, which was kind of cool.
That was very cool.
And I didn't like. I kind of understood why like Vivian Vance as like Ethel's character felt a little threatened by Lucy a little bit, because she was always second fiddle. And then that part where she was losing a lot of weight or whatever, like Lucy was trying to fatten her up, and I was like, oh, that's fucked up, because she can't be more attractive than Lucy, because it'll take the especially since Lucy was pregnant in the how the series played out. Yeah, it was like it revolved around that. The story was like she had a thing in her past about her being a communist, and then the other half of it was like, is Desi Arnaz cheating on her, and then the other half was like, she's having a baby in real life. How were they going to play this into the show? So I'm like, that was kind of interesting. Those three factors had I want to see now a sequel to this. I want to see not a sequel, but I want to see like some type of like continuity where it was like, well, they kind of wrapped it at the end where they said, Lucy and Desi got divorced in 1960, but there were other movies, I think, from like on like Lifetime or whatever about Lila Lucy, or how like that showcased the way his habits were, his cheating and all that shit that kind of drove them apart. Mm-hmm. And this was only in the prenatal stages, though, dude. This was like in the early 50s, so that was like right when this shit was like beginning. So
I found it interesting. I didn't know that Lucy was a big supporter of the Communist Party too. I found that to be rather interesting, because her husband, being that he came from Cuba, obviously he was like so like against that, because why would he come to the United States? Of course, he had better opportunities here. Yeah. So it was interesting that whole dynamic too. That was kind of like. I was like, wow,
Yeah, she said something about checking off a box on a voting card because of her like great uncle or grandfather or some shit. That it was like, it wasn't a mistake, but she didn't realize back then. Remember, she was born, I think, 1911. So back in like the 20s, 30s, it was okay to be a communist. It was like being another like a Republican or some shit. Until it wasn't okay until after World War II. That's when shit fucking got crazy. So you look at a communist, you're a traitor after World War II.
That's interesting, man.
Yeah, she really didn't like think anything of it back in like her when she was like 18, 19 years old. But you know how like fucking publicity to try and get you any way they can. If you're a big celebrity, they try and bring you down. All that fucking tabloid shit and whatnot. But I also think that I didn't realize that Nicole Kidman, until my friend pointed out to me, she was like, Nicole Kidman was great as Lucy, but I think her Botox injections were fucking up a little bit because her face looked a little stiff. I was like, her face did look a little puffy. I thought that was just intentional, though. I didn't realize that was because of all Nicole Kidman's Botox.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she was good. I mean, I know there's talk about her, being nominated or winning or, being up there for an Oscar. For Best Actress, I still have to give that to Lady Gaga after seeing House of Gucci, but if anyone deserves to be nominated for an Oscar in this movie, I think it's J.K. Simmons, man.
I think so too.
I think he should get nominated for best supporting actor in this movie because he was spot on to me, man. He really was, dude.
I think he should, man. He really should. I mean, don't get me wrong, Desi Arnaz, Javier Bardem as Desi Arnaz, he sounded the part, but he looked a little too husky for Desi Arnaz. If he dropped a little bit of weight, maybe, but he was a little chunky.
Yeah, I wasn't really feeling him, dude. I really wasn't.
He's all right. I mean, the one who played Vivian Vance, she was really good though. She looked like Ethel a little bit in the face. She was pretty good. But other than that, it was enjoyable, folks. So it's on Amazon Prime Video. If you don't want to go to the theaters to see it, if you have an Amazon Prime membership, you can watch it there. I think it was a pretty good, pretty decent movie. Other than that, before we get into the Matrix, we want to talk about Hawkeye because we both finished the finale, and holy shit. That's all I could say.
Hawkeye. Yeah, Hawkeye was man, I really undermined Hawkeye. Hawkeye to me was when I saw the upcoming Marvel MCU shows coming out, Hawkeye to me was kind of whatever, Hawkeye, whatever. I get it. Yeah. Kind of just blew it under the table type of thing. But man, when I saw this when I finished watching it, I was like, wow, Hawkeye to me was so far number one best MCU show I've seen so far.
Absolutely, positively. I really, when it first came out, and I did my review on this, and it'll drop in a couple of days on the channel, but I said in my review, I was like, holy shit, I did not think we needed a Hawkeye show. I didn't think there was any need for it. No, not necessary at all. But it was kind of in the Dark Knight, man. Remember, it's he's the hero that Gotham needs and doesn't deserve right now. It's like we needed it, and we didn't know we needed it until we got it. And it's all right, you can stay, because it felt like to me an extension of the. And I don't want to say, oh fuck it, we're gonna spoil everything. This is a spoiler podcast, folks. It kind of felt like an extension of the Daredevil Netflix series in a sense, didn't it? Because of what happened and transpired a little.
It did actually. It really the way Hawkeye was done. It kind of for me, the best Netflix of the Marvel series to me was absolutely Daredevil, and it felt it definitely felt like an extension of that.
It was cool. I mean, it started off a little slow, but once you got to the third episode, remember that crazy chase sequence when Cade and Clint were in the fucking car and they were shooting those crazy cool random arrows at the villains, and they were blowing up and turning into fucking Ant-Man arrows and shit. And I was like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what I liked about Hawkeye too, man, they really try to tie things in too. I feel like some of the other shows, I mean, maybe I have to watch some of the other shows again, but the other shows, they kind of they kind of left me a little bit with more desire of a taste in my mouth. I was like, I kind of wanted more. I was kind of thinking I was gonna Low Key and some other shows. Especially WandaVision, I thought I was going to get more than what they gave,
Yeah, absolutely.
With Hawkeye, they gave me way more than I even thought. I was like,
I had no idea they were going that far, man. I didn't think they were going to go that distance. But to your point, man, WandaVision started off very strong. The first half of that season, I was in it, dude. And then they just shit the bed in the end. They try and throw fucking shit at us and take it away like Quicksilver. They gave us Quicksilver back. They took it away. Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier started off strong. I wasn't feeling the villains. The end of it got way too political toward the end. It just felt like it was a plug for Captain America 4 as Falcon, and they shit all over fucking Bucky, Winter Soldier, and that shit. Loki ended weird, dude. Loki was cool until the end when, I don't know if you remember with I forget the villain's name, but whatever the fucking villain's name was at the end of the season, he was a watered down Pop Fizzle type of villain, he wasn't anything big that they were building up towards. And Hawkeye though, that fucking villain at the end, it's dude, ooh. Oh, baby.
Folks, if you haven't seen the show Daredevil, Punisher, or any of the most of the actually really just Daredevil, really, to be honest with you.
Daredevil.
If you haven't seen Daredevil on Netflix, you're probably not going to appreciate Hawkeye, and you're not going to appreciate an aspect of Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
So watch Daredevil. Daredevil is definitely one of the best shows out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the first 2 seasons of Daredevil. 3 is good. It's good as a whole, but the first 2 seasons are phenomenal, exceptional. Hawkeye. The reason we're saying this is that they bring back. The end of that episode 5, the big reveal of Hawkeye is that Kingpin is still around. controlling the city and pulling the strings behind the scenes from Daredevil. And then episode 6, dude, he's in it from start to finish, and he does some crazy shit in that last episode, like insane shit.
Yeah, it was yeah, I mean, I would have to give Hawkeye in perfect, I'm gonna say perfect score, but 8 out of 10. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Solid 8 out of 10. It's
a really great show. I want to go higher, but I'll give it with the 8 just to respect it, because it did have a little bit of down moments in the beginning. You know, it was a slow burn in the beginning, and then like I really love the character that they got to play, the actress. I think her name is Haley Steinfeld, I think, who played Kate Bishop. She was fucking awesome. She had such a cool personality, and she was meshing well with Jeremy Renner as Clint Barton and Hawkeye, and that shit was awesome.
She was good, man. And actually, this show even made me appreciate Black Widow the movie. You know, before the Black Widow movie, before the show, I wasn't really crazy about the Black Widow movie. Now, I can kind of go back and be like, you know what, the Black Widow movie served a purpose now. You know,
it does serve a purpose. I would never like rewatch it, but I understand why it was there, because they brought back folks in Hawkeye, Yelena from the Black Widow movie, who was Natasha's sister. Yeah. And she was fucking badass, and she's funny too. She's another cool chick who's just you know, she's funny. She's a cool personality. Like, and it's so rare for like Disney to give us, in this day and age with all the political climate that we're in, such likable female characters, and they've delivered in Hawkeye. They gave us 2 really likable female characters, and I'm like, all right, I'm in it. And what I really enjoyed too, man, remember that fight in the end with Kingpin versus Kate and that in the whatever shop, the electronics store or whatever? That was cool to me. They really didn't show Kate Bishop, even though she did get the upper hand in the end. He was beating the shit out of her, dude. Like, I don't know how she survived half those punches.
Yeah,
he was beating her up, dude.
What are your thoughts on the ending? Do you think, I don't think Kingpin is dead, dude.
Oh, nah. He fucking popped that chick. He popped the cap in that chick's butt. He had to.
But the way like it ended, you're like, all right, did they just take out Kingpin? Like, but it wouldn't make sense. Like, why would you just bring him back just to, like take him out so fast? You know,
dude, I'm gonna put this in Star Wars terms so you can understand it. You remember that part in Revenge of the Sith when Palpatine was talking to Anakin, like, they need you, Anakin, more than you know. Yeah, they need you, Kingpin, more than you know. So he's not going anywhere, dude. They need him. They fucking need him. He's not going. Cause why do you think they panned away from the camera? They like panned away. They moved it up, and then you heard the shot. He grabbed that gun and he laid it into that girl. I'm telling you, she's dead. That Maya chick is dead. Didn't see it coming. But
well, aren't they doing like a spin-off, that show called Echo now, which is like a spin-off of that chick?
Well, maybe she'll have a prequel or something to show how she got that way, because I don't think she should. If they killed off Kingpin, dude, that is very foolish of them, because you don't kill off a fucking loved character like that. That's a loved villain. You know?
No, I mean, like, honestly, you know, in the comic books, I remember Kingpin being a big part of the Spider-Man universe. So you got to find a way to integrate him with Spider-Man and have Spider-Man work with Hawkeye. Oh man, it's just so much.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, dude. Because you're absolutely right. Because they need to have Daredevil, Kingpin, Punisher, Spider-Man, all within the same thing, because they're in the same city. Their city is New York City, so they got to absolutely have to. But yeah, so if you haven't seen it yet, highly recommend Hawkeye. It's on Disney Plus now. It finally wrapped. It's only 6 episodes. You could kill it in probably a good weekend, and yeah, it's really good. Really good.
And it's a good Christmas show.
Yeah, it is. It ended with a nice little finale. Had the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center. I don't know how that had to be CGI, dude. When that tree came down, that had to be fucking CGI, because I don't think they would let them. That shoe had to be fucking generated or whatever, because when that tree came down in that episode, I was like, damn. I was looking. But yeah, no, it's a cool show. And with that being said, we're going to move into the big meat of this episode, talking about the Matrix Resurrections, folks. And then we're going to rank our Matrix movies in the end. So, so we both, all right, here was the thing. We both were supposed to see this in IMAX, right? A couple days ago, and it was a very late showing. So we made the executive decision to just cancel the tickets and watch it on HBO Max. And we are very happy we made that decision, right? Because we wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where you're gonna have to pause, rewind. Pause, rewind. It was a very late show. We had just finished eating a big meal, and we were gonna pass out. Seeing this movie, the movie was gonna start around 11 o'clock. wasn't going to happen.
It was a 2.5-hour movie, folks. You know, and if we would have nodded off, you know, during the movie, and it's literally one of those movies where they had a lot of scenes where if you blink, you missed it. If you blink, you missed it. And it was a lot of fucking moments like that. We would have never made it. We wouldn't have made it past the first act. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad we got to watch it on HBO though. At least to my delightful surprise, I really ended up enjoying the movie a lot more than I thought I was. I was terrified, dude, because you kept sending me those reviews, and I'm like, oh fuck, those torn reviews.
Yeah,
You know?
same here, man. I mean, I read the reviews. You know, I like to just see the reviews, just kind of get a gauge. I'm not really like, I don't. For me, the reviews don't always make and break, but I just like to get a gauge of what people are like saying. You know, just to kind of get a feel.
Naturally.
And I was like, cause I'll be honest, I was really excited about this movie, man. I'm a big Matrix fan. I'm a big fan of the whole lore, and I was pleasantly surprised too, man. I watched this movie and I enjoyed it. I gotta say, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought it was.
Yeah, I would even go out on a limb here, folks, and say I enjoyed the Matrix Resurrections more than the Matrix Reloaded. It's not going to hold a candle to the original. Calm down. Don't light your fucking torches yet. The first Matrix will always be king, but it literally superseded Reloaded to me because it felt like a reincarnation almost of the greatest hits from like the first movie and the third movie, with leaving the second movie out a little bit. Which am I right there or wrong? Because I kind of felt like it had a little bit of Revolutions, a little bit of the original Matrix, and then it was a little bit of its own thing, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, for me, folks, honestly, it was, I mean, it's not going to be better than the original, but it's definitely better. It's better than Reloaded. I don't have it better than Revolutions. I still have Revolutions number 2. Yeah, but I'm gonna comfortably put Resurrections number 3.
Yeah, no. If I had to rank all of them right now, I got my list in front of me. I'll go because I'm gonna include the Animatrix, so I'm gonna go Animatrix number 5, Matrix Reloaded 4, the Matrix Resurrections 3, Matrix Revolutions 2, and then of course the original Matrix as number 1. So that's the rankings. But we're gonna break down this movie from start to finish because we have some questions that hopefully we can answer as we talk it through. For ourselves and for you folks out there who are listening. So we'll start off from the beginning, right? So the beginning of the movie is a little bit like perplexing a little bit, right? Because it kind of starts like a parallel to the first Matrix with the first opening scene with Trinity, right? And Agent Smith.
Yeah, the beginning of the movie, it's weird. Like, it's weird in the sense that it's a simulation within a simulation.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some people, you're either going to be on one side of the fence, you're going to hate that, or you're going to love it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's because it's crazy too, because the whole plot revolves around like Neo being resurrected. That's what Matrix Resurrections, resurrected by the machines, put back into a new version of the Matrix, and he's forced to be a video game developer for Warner Brothers, making the original Matrix trilogy. And in the opening sequence, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, they have the Agent Smith, and one of the Agent Smith is played by Morpheus, the new character who's playing Morpheus, and he wrote that character in that way to try and break free of that code, Agent Smith, and then have become Morpheus, because he has all these memories inside of him that's like of Morpheus, so that he's just writing it as he's remembering it, and that's how the game plays out, and it translates into this reality of the Matrix, and that's where Neo starts to realize that he's being trapped. He's trapped pretty much, and it's just he's trying to get out of that whole sequence, right? That's what's going on. Is that how you interpreted it too?
Yeah, he's basically like on a treadmill that never ends. That's basically what it is. He's just running, never ending, in a loop. And it's crazy because he gets plugged back into the Matrix, and he is to believe that he lost his mind. He tried to commit suicide. He tried to kill himself. So his boss, who happens to be a entity of Smith,
right,
is his boss, and he's telling him that he needs therapy, and he's sending him to see a therapist.
Yeah.
And the therapist is just like telling him like, hey man, you're just imagining all this stuff. This is all your dreams. Giving him the blue pills, and he's just nonstop popping the blue pills.
Just taking
and
it.
It's just, and he's just like stalking. But you could tell he's like distraught because he's like, damn, why do I keep having these flashbacks?
Flashbacks, memories, dreams. He
memories,
sees
dreams.
Trinity in the coffee shop that he recognizes her.
Which his flashbacks and dreams is what made him create this Matrix trilogy video game. Right. Which is like, it's kind of bizarre. It's kind of like what the fuck are they?
Yeah.
It's like
the first act, folks, is very bizarre, but once you get past that first 30-35 minutes, it's just the rabbit hole just goes deeper and deeper, and it's so intricate, the whole like advancements they make with the machines right now, that they can phase between both the Matrix and realities by like portals, and then you got they can like become like nanotechnology and in the real world and shit. It's fucking crazy. And it's really cool too, because they have like their residual self-images, like how they view themselves, like Neo and Trinity. They don't look how they do, right? They look like totally different people, right?
Yeah, they're totally different people. They're coded. I mean, they see themselves as themselves, right? But the way other people see them, they're completely different people.
Totally different. Yeah.
So people have been searching for Neo. People have been searching for Thomas Anderson, but they're not able to find him because he doesn't look like Neo anymore. So
and that's why they got this new cool character. Her name is Bugs, and she like kind of is one of the captains of this new ship. And her crew is like sniffing out, but with this Morpheus program that he created, they're trying to sniff out, Neo and trying to find him. And then they do find him, and he's put back, of course, into the pod again. They take him out of the pod, so it's like a recreation of the first Matrix movie in a sense. After they find him, they take him out of the pod. And then they tell him everything that fucking went down, like everything. And he's just like, so everything. And dude, he was saying it like I was thinking it, how the audience was thinking it. Like, he said, so you're telling me all I did in Machine City, all this shit, it was for nothing? Like, why the fuck am I here again? Like, if everything got reset, there was no peace. And like, no, you don't understand. There was peace. And then how much time, dude? It was like 60 years passed, right? Like 60 fucking years of peace they had.
No, yeah, you're kind of like when he says that, you're like, fuck yeah, what the fuck was the point of Reloaded Revolutions? But then when you see they go back to Machine City, which by the way, you see Niobe, she's now a general, which was pretty cool.
That was awesome.
You see then what Neo did was big. He advanced that civilization. He advanced it so that they can actually integrate with the machines. Where the machines can they kind of formed a bond in a sense.
A symbiote relationship, absolutely. Symbiosis, which was pretty cool. And it was kind of tragic too, man, in a sense, because I think they have an opportunity, man, I don't know about you, to make a Matrix television series now to showcase the gap between what happened at the end of Revolutions to now. Because it wasn't the city they went back to, folks. It wasn't Zion. It was some other city called Io or some shit.
Io, yeah.
And it was because there was a split. The people of Zion were starting to split because they wanted to remain in the past, and led by Morpheus, because Morpheus was in charge after the war, and he had his ideals and shit, and between that and his hubris, it led to his demise. Because right, man, when Niobe was going through the whole shrine and everything, they had a shrine of Morpheus because he met his demise at Zion because he refused to evolve. And Niobe was like, look, we got to start working with these sentients, with these machines, in order to live. You can't be living in the past, because we can't grow. And in this city, we need to do things differently. They're growing their own food now and shit. It was pretty cool, man. I really thought that was awesome. That was really nice.
It was cool. For me, it was I got it. I get it. Some people, they were just kind of like, and you know what I noticed? A lot of people that were bashing this movie, man, they were like, it was almost like they were saying, oh yeah, it's, it's not like the old Matrix and everything. But it's if you remember, they said there's always going to be new versions of the Matrix.
Yes. Absolutely.
The ending of Revolutions was never going to be the end. It was okay, Neo saved the world and that's it. Everything is going to go to
shit. Even the fucking architect, dude, at the end of Revolutions, he was like, we're just going to rebuild another version of the Matrix. He said, this peace won't last. That was a foreshadow. It's not going to last. So they had their 60 years of peace, and then they fucking just were now it's time again to now there wasn't a war in this movie brewing. It was just kind of trying to get Neo and Trinity back together. Now, the deviousness of the plot, there's a big plot twist, folks. people think that from the trailers or whatever, that Agent Smith is the main antagonist here. No, that is absolutely not the case. The main antagonist, folks, is the analyst. Now, the analyst is played by Doogie Howser, who happens to be the therapist, Neo's therapist. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason that the analyst is suppressing Neo and Trinity from hooking up is because he is doing that because he's making them come close, but no cigar. Because by doing that, by having their energies come super, super close and never connecting, it has such a high energy output. They generate so much energy from their pods to supply to the machines in Machine City that he said his fucking analyst report and his fucking productivity report every year has gone up ever since he created this version of the Matrix with that process in it. So that was the fucking crazy fucked up reason why he created a new Matrix. He said, and he was responsible for resurrecting Neo and bringing Trinity back to life because he said, and the machines were against it. They were like, nah, just let them die. Like, don't fucking, he's like, no, he goes, we are going to revive them, resurrect them, and make them fucking in this new version of the Matrix because we are going to use them because if this one is the one between the one and the one he loves is going to output and produce all the energy we're ever going to fucking need, and you just let me try this version. And they were like, all right, fuck it. And it happened to work. So that is the devious plot. It's a very, don't get me wrong, folks. It's such a complex fucking plot. It took me many rewind sessions to fucking figure this shit out. So, Jay, if you have any other questions toward that, let me know if I'm right or wrong, or if you have anything to add to that. Go ahead.
No, yeah, it was, again, like, you know, piggybacking off of that, I definitely could see why a lot of people hated it because, you know, it's like you watch a movie and you kind of expect to, like, for it to just make sense right off the bat, but this movie, it didn't. But if you kind of dissect it, watch it a little bit, maybe pause, rewind, go back, you know, you can kind of start to dissect the movie a little bit. My only questions were like the whole Morpheus thing still bugs me out, dude. Like, it was like, it's so bugged, like how he was Agent Smith, but he's Morpheus. He created Morpheus as Agent Smith in this modal. Yeah. And then
that was all, I think, like I said, man, earlier, it was a plan. Like, he did that because he wasn't sure, like, he had these memories of the old Morpheus, right? So he didn't know how to apply that in the video game. So at first he applied it as Smith. Then he was like, all right. Then he had like these dreams and visions that he thought they were just dreams, but they were actually things that actually transpired. He's like, he's going to make it a way where Morpheus can, like, escape that persona, that role of Smith. And he did, with the help of actually that Bugs character, because she kind of gave him a little bit of a jolt. And then he was like, remember, he was like, my name is Morpheus or whatever. And then he's like, he remembered who he was. And, you know, that was just Neo creating that personification of the Morpheus he once knew. Same thing he did with Trinity. Like in the opening sequence, that version of Trinity was like from what he knew her to be from his memories, and you know, just trying to translating that to that video game. And it was pretty trippy, man. It was really, really trippy. Again, folks, you must be open-minded. You must go into this movie with not only an open mind, but patience. All I can say is just patience, because a little bit of patience will go a long way here. The payoff is really worth it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Could it have been better? Yes, it could have been better, especially being that it's been over, like, what? It's been about 20 years since we had the you know what I mean? So I feel like if they had so much time, I feel like this could have been fleshed out a little bit more. Yeah. But I wouldn't mind seeing them continue on with the series. Yeah, absolutely. I don't see this going into sequel movies, especially. Dude.
It cost $200 million to make this movie, dude. $20 million more than Spider-Man No Way Home. It didn't even break 20 million this weekend, man. It did not even break 20 million, which is terrifying.
No, I mean, this movie absolutely bombed the box office. It bombed. I mean, they totally shot themselves in the foot. Yep. They released it a week after Spider-Man. It's on HBO Max.
Yeah.
You have all the bad reviews. So I mean, they kind of shot themselves in the foot with this. But
it's the perfect storm, dude. To your point,
Yeah.
you're going up against the King Spider-Man No Way Home. It's on HBO Max as well. There's another spike in a variant of the pandemic of the coronavirus that's still going around. And to top it off, it's getting crushed in the reviews because you got a bunch of fucking crazy, stupid man babies out there who are crying, dropping low scores, but not understanding a lot about this movie. They're just going, it sucks. This isn't like my Matrix. Well, they're just crying about it because they don't like change. They just want rehashes. But then guess what? When you get rehashes of the originals, they're going to complain that, it's just like a 1-for-1, like Star Wars The Force Awakens was. It's like, you can't win. You just can't.
Yeah, but, I mean, like I said, like the people that are complaining that it wasn't like the old Matrix is like, but it's not supposed to. Like that's,
yeah.
And they even told you that in the original Matrix. They told you like shit was going to upgrade and time's going to change. So I liked it. I liked it. It was for me. It was good. I appreciated it for what it was. It was cool seeing like how the Matrix kind of like how the crew from that world of IO going into the Matrix, how all their technology has upgraded.
Yeah.
How they now bring in AI and they have these robots working for them and all that. It was cool.
What was cool too, man, was when they got into the Matrix and they were like, when they were explaining why there's not so many agents anymore, they use fucking swarms now, those bots. That was fucking awesome, dude. Where anybody could be like a part of the Matrix now, like use them as their like surrogates. So basically, folks, it's like pretty much like robot zombies because they were like, remember that train scene, man, when they were on the train with Neo, and then like they were like detected them. There was no agents, man. They just the bots. So all the recipients on the train, all the residents, their eyes turned like the Matrix code, and they just went like fucking zombies, like to just try and kill all the. They call them exiles. So all the exiles and shit, people who didn't belong. And the end of the movie, man, that final act, dude, that shit was insane. When they were like dropping out of the buildings, they were kamikazing, like fucking just turn them into bombs and shit. I was like, yo, this is fucking cool. And that one part where the car was driving toward Neo and Trinity on the motorcycle, and he used his power to flatten the front of the car, and they drove up that shit as a ramp. I was like, yo, that shit was fucking awesome. That was really
crazy,
cool.
Man.
That was cool. I really liked this movie. I'm sorry, I just really did.
No, I liked it too, man. I liked it. I mean, the ending, I kind of figured. I mean, we both were, when we were kind of like talking about our theories about it, we kind of knew that Trinity was gonna. We either thought she was either going to be the one, or she was just going to be. There was going to be something about Trinity in this movie, and it turned out to be true.
It was, and that was cool too. And I think to your earlier point, you had asked me, I think if I'm not mistaken, you said, how did Trinity get to have the powers? In the end of the movie, folks, they're on the rooftop. Neo can't fly yet. He hasn't relearned the ability to fly yet, which is cool. I'm glad they suppressed that, because in Matrix Reloaded, it made it feel like he was invincible, like he was just flying, everything was whatever. So now they jumped off the roof, and then Trinity was the one to carry Neo and then fly away. But the reason for that, in my opinion, is that their connection, their love, and their bond, he transferred his powers of the one to her, because they had like I'll call it a Star Wars Force bond. They had such a bond that they now share that power of the one. And the end of the movie was fucking cool, dude. They're in the trench coats, the sunglasses. They go visit the fucking analyst. They kick his ass, and then they take off to recreate the Matrix a little bit. But I have one question too, man. I mean, I kind of tried to answer it the other day, but I really want to know, what is Agent Smith's deal, though? Like, I'm trying to interpret it.
That was
it's a little confusing to me.
That was my confusion too, man. Because like in the movie, he helps Neo. Like he's like he helps him. He actually helps him, which is like
he does.
bizarre.
And he's like, this is where our because there's one point in the movie, folks, when you're entering the final act, the analyst has all these bots surrounding Neo, and he was like, let me just try and convince Trinity, blah blah blah. It doesn't go right, it goes wrong for him. And then like he has a gun to his head, like Neo has a gun to his head, and then the analyst is like, whatever, goodbye. And then Smith shows up, kicks the analyst's ass, allows them to escape, and then he's like, after it's all said and done, Smith is like to Neo, this is where our alliance ends. And I'm like, alliance? And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, what are your, like, the only thing I can think of, dude, is that remember when Neo let Smith assimilate him at the end of Revolutions, and he blew him up or whatever, the end of the program. I think when he took over Neo, they formed some type of unity that kind of just went beyond the Matrix, that they understood each other. It was kind of like a Batman Joker type thing where they need each other to survive. So he doesn't want to kill Neo because if he allows Neo to die, a part of Smith will end because now they're connected because they had that unison together.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, I'm probably could be wrong, but I don't know. So
yeah, it was what was bizarre was like the analyst had Smith, like it was like the analyst was controlling them in a sense. So the analyst had Smith as the head CEO boss of this video game company, which I thought was pretty bizarre. It was called Deus Machina, which
that was funny.
The name of the fucking robot god that goes to see in Matrix Revolutions.
Deus Machina.
So that's the name of the company, Deus Machina. So it's like when you try to like break it down, you're like, okay, so Deus Machina had the analyst fucking control everything.
Yeah.
He had them all kind of like set in like these little like chess pieces. He had fucking Agent Smith as the fucking CEO of the company. So he had Neo, Thomas Anderson, working under fucking Smith, and he had fucking Trinity, Tiffany, being like kind of like within that proximity.
Yeah.
But she was kind of like she was married and she was like with her own family. So it was kind of it was bizarre.
To that point, dude. I mean, to your point. I mean, you have to think. Did the analyst ever think by suppressing Smith in that role? It was always a risk that if he ever connected or Neo ever found out who he was, Smith would wake up and then shit would go fucking tits up. He had to think that was a factor, a risk factor to take. I guess he just decided the reward was worth the risk. So I don't know. It was very perplexing, but that is my only real like issue with the movie, besides it being a little bit too like overly complex. But that is what that's what The Matrix is all about, folks. If you're in for a thinking man's movie, this is the movie for you because it's not just a straight shooter. To Jay Reverend's point earlier, it's not a movie where you're just going to go in, they're going to explain everything to you, and you're going to walk out. There's going to be a lot of nuances here and a lot of caveats where you're going to have to use your old noggin to figure it out like we are now. So, and it might require multiple rewatches, and that's fine because this movie to me has some rewatchability, which is a good thing. So,
it does. I mean, I liked it, man. I mean, honestly, for me, it's a solid movie, man. Like it's, if I had to score it, dude, for me, I'd give it a 7.5. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. I'm gonna be, it's for me, it's slightly above. I have it above Matrix Reloaded, but I have it just below Matrix
right in between.
Right in between.
On my review, which is going to drop probably tomorrow on the channel of Resurrection, I gave it an 8. I said it's a great movie. I gave it the same score as I gave Revolutions, but I would put Revolutions higher on the totem pole just because I felt that Revolutions, kind of the way it ended and it wrapped up, it kind of ended up neatly and tightly into a nice bundled package where everything kind of met its finality and conclusion properly. Here in this movie, the way it ended, it kind of felt like they was open for more because the way it ended, they were like, all right, we're going to go fucking clean up this Matrix or whatever, and we're going to make it. I don't think there's a need for another one. I don't think there will be another one because the way it performed, and B, I just don't think there really is there is a need for a television series because there's a fucking 60-year gap between Revolutions and Resurrections, so they need to fill in a lot of those missing pieces.
They could do that. Yeah, the ending was a little weird. It was like they were like talking about, okay, we're gonna make our own Matrix. We're gonna fucking paint the rainbow, the sky rainbow, which goes very well with the director of the movie. That's a story for another day. That's a story for another day.
Can I really just say I'm so happy that Lana Wachowski just directed this movie and she didn't write it, because I am so happy other people wrote this movie, because if she would have wrote the movie, it would have been just like Hideo Kojima like writing. It would have been like, you would have had fucking crazy shit that if you think it was complex now, just wait, folks, if she would have wrote this movie. So
you know what I found out? I found out like with the original Matrix trilogy, it was Lana and her brother. I don't know what he is now, but the brother
Andy, I think it was at the time.
Andy at the time, they both did the Matrix. So in this one, it was just Lana. Like Andy had nothing to do with this. So maybe
is he a woman now too? I don't know. I don't even know. Are they both? I have no idea, dude.
I don't know.
I can't keep up with the lives. But yeah, no, like I said, man, I'm just happy that she just directed. She did a great job directing it, but I mean, I'm just happy that she didn't write it. I'm glad. You know why, man? Because it felt like it was written by fans of the Matrix, like us, like just people who like try to have something fresh, yet familiar, have some type of familiarity that we can relate to, but evolving the Matrix, because again, this is a newer version of the Matrix. There's no more phone booths anymore. Now there's portals. You know, there's not as many agents. Now you have bots. You know, it's just really cool to see the evolution. Now there's sentience. Now there's like programs that can phase like holograms in between nanotech, between the Matrix and the real world, and they're phasing in and out. And I thought it was really cool. I'm like, yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. Now they also have remember that part, dude, at the end of the movie, well, toward the end of the movie, when like the second act-ish, when they were trying to get Trinity out of her pod, where Bugs, the new chick with the blue hair, they were like, no, we actually don't need to have Trinity take the red pill. All we need to do is transfer her consciousness into you, and then that'll be good enough. I'm like, and then until she's like, they use her body as a conduit. I was like, yo, that shit's fucking awesome. I was like, look at them. Like, who thinks of this? Like, this actually makes some type of sense. Yeah. So I'm like, if you think about it, no, it was a very smart movie. Smarter than I give it, it gets credit for. Not as smart as the first Matrix movie, but smart enough where you stop and think, okay, someone actually tried to put effort and thought into this writing process. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. It definitely needs to be watched multiple times, or just you may have to just slow it down, not just like sit through it in one viewing. Maybe just like hit the pause button, rewind. I mean, there was like moments where I like literally wasn't even paying attention. I blinked too fast, or I looked away, and I missed something within a fraction of a second. And my fiance had to tell me. She had to be like, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "What?" It was just like things in like reflections or mirrors or things like that.
Yeah, so, a lot of blinking and missing stuff, folks. So if you can watch it on HBO Max, you have another 21 days or 25 days to do so before it's gone.
Yeah, so, if you're wondering, should I go to see this in the movie theaters or HBO Max? I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what? Go see it on HBO Max. It's just much more comfortable. Don't go to the movie theaters. Just see it on HBO Max.
Yeah, there's no point. I mean, unless you like really, because if you go see it in movie theaters, all right, let's say you do the IMAX experience like we were going to, you're going to get that really cool IMAX experience. But if you look away or you sneeze or something happens, you're going to miss critical parts of the movie, and you can't even get up to go take a piss if you need to, because you will be totally lost by the time you return to your seat. I can almost guarantee that. So
yeah. I mean, I'm all about going to the movie theaters and supporting a movie, but you know what? They kind of shot themselves in the foot. They released on HBO Max. If it's available on HBO Max, you have the option. See it on HBO Max, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, so that is our breakdown from start to finish of all the Matrix movies. We ranked all of them, scored the Matrix Resurrections. See it. We highly recommend seeing it. It's a good ride from start to finish. Don't listen to the critics, those scores on Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes. Just go watch it and formulate your own opinion. That's pretty much all I can say. That's my advice. So
that's my advice too. It's I mean, like it kind of got like harsh bash reviews. Like, I mean, I saw reviews like at 3s and 4s, and I think that's absurd.
No.
Was it a great movie? No. But was it a bad movie? No.
It was a solid movie. Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's not the best Matrix movie. No. But I enjoyed it. As a Matrix fan, I enjoyed it, and it was cool to see the Matrix come back. Yeah,
it was. I can highly agree to that, and I can safely endorse this movie as well. So, yeah, absolutely. But, yep. So, with that being said, that is our little take, or a lot of take on this movie, as well as Hawkeye, and that being the Ricardos movie. I would love to talk about video games, folks, but the only video game I've really had time to play is Halo Infinite. I'm still chipping away at that, and yeah, that's a work in progress. That's another story for another podcast, another day. So
yeah, that sure is.
Yeah, but anyway, folks, we hope you have a happy holiday season, a happy, safe, and healthy New Year, and we will probably catch everyone in the New Year. That'll be our next podcast.
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. Hope you guys are, enjoying the holidays.
All right, we'll catch everybody next time. Thanks, as always, for stopping by.
Take care.